me tell you the story of right hand, left hand.
So, as I'm punching the intern in the face, there's only one thought going through my head. I'm going to be employed here forever. And don't get me wrong, that's a good thing. In the era of dog eat lawsuit, I felt that through the evening's turn of events, having gone from decadent party to a round of real-life Mortal Kombat, I would be justified in asking management for not just a pay raise, but for a steady contract of employment that would wipe any sprinkle of worry about keeping myself afloat in a dismal economy. After all, it's not like I was attacking this intern. Poor schmuck who had worked for us all summer before finally blowing his top. It was he who was the instigator, the catalyst, the barrel of gunpowder who had decided to kiss a Bic lighter when she got hot. Like many scuffles between card-carrying XY chromosome holders, this fight had broken out over a woman who I had no interest in, and who had no interest in either one of us. Let me back up for a moment, set the scene for you. It was summer of 2008, and I was hired fresh out of college by the La Jolla Playhouse to work a shit job in hopes that by summer of 2009, mind you, this summer, I would be employed in a slightly less shit job. Along for the ride were 4 interns. Jay and Mariah were standouts in the realm of interns. He was a straight male, she was a woman. I suppose it's only natural that they would try to find common ground in the lonely hot days of schlepping actors back and forth and then throwing elaborate parties for very wealthy people, diva performers, and stuffy administrators. At the grandest of these parties, involving the opening night of a large musical, Jay decided to get drunk. It was the last day before he headed back to Boston for school, and we had all gotten him a card signed with our best wishes for the upcoming school year. The quiet, well-kept, shy boy decided it was finally time to come out of his shell. And Mariah just decided there was music and booze, so why not have a good time? They took to the party like it was for them alone. Now, this is where it starts to get a little fuzzy for me. Jay, who had downed at least 5 whiskey sours by this point, whispered something into Mariah's ear. She whispered something back, and Jay smiled with a look that said, "I'll see you later." But he didn't. Mariah stayed put, enjoying her drinks and all the festivities. Did she not go find him on purpose? Was there even a secret meeting planned? Or did she just forget? All that is known is that around 3 o'clock that morning, when most of the party had died down and the rest of us had started to clean up, I found Jay in our offices, sitting in a chair, steam coming out of his ears. "Hey man," I said, "are you okay?" Jay looked up with the meanest, fiercest look I've ever seen. And then the cool cucumber turned rotten, giving way to one of the most over-the-top monologues I've ever heard. "Jake! Do you believe that I would ever disgrace the essence of the theater?" I forgot he had wanted to be an actor. "I mean, do you think that I would stoop to such lows as to defile the theater, that my hands, these hands which are my tools, would ever hurt her? That I could lust for her? And loathe her, and lust for her, and loathe her, and she could just hurt me like that without disregard for my heart?" Actually, I could. Our boss, Aunt Jeanette, would often make me jump through hoops to figure out if I was her friend, her employee, her punching bag, or her safety net. I was grateful to her for hiring me in the first place and giving me a career opportunity, but she had it in her mind that since I didn't really know how to throw opening night parties, or clean up after a dirty actor's apartment, that I really didn't know what I was doing. Love and hate, gratitude and hurt. Boom. Even though Aunt Jeanette and I were strictly boss and employee, I got where Jay was coming from, about how angry you could get at someone who never told you exactly where they were coming from. "I fucking hate that fucking goose! She made me do things, those bad things, and I did it. For her, I lusted. I slaved for, I cut and bled and didn't get paid a damn thing for that fat fucking intern. I told him, calm down, and that's when he grabbed my arm. Huffing and puffing like a bull, he pushed me back into the desk, knocking over the lamp and pencil cup. Jay, don't do this. Let me drive you home. You can walk away from this. If you do anything stupid, that's the whole summer. Down the drain. You'll lose all of your contacts, all of your letters of recommendations, all of your connections here. I really don't know what I thought was going to make him stop, but that's when he decided to throw the open palm punch. Boom! Hitting me directly in the jaw. Listen, I don't get in many fights. I'm a Jew from Utah. But if you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. And that is when I pulled back and socked our little summer go-getter right in the face. The shock of it sent him reeling backwards and heading out the door towards the upper patio. Outside, he started flipping tables with candles and empty glasses over, screaming like a banshee and looking like a baby. Where's Aunt Jeanette? I only want to talk to Aunt Jeanette. Really? You want to talk to our boss? What good is that going to do? By that time, Aunt Jeanette herself was drunk, sluggish, hanging on to her husband who had helped out more times than I could count, and was a pretty good guy by all accounts. They were sitting in the service yard, and as I was holding Jay back, the rest of our crew debating to call the police. And Mariah, the girl who stood him up, who you think he'd really want to talk to, well, she was getting into a friend's car to head home for the night. I finally reasoned with Jay. He could talk with Aunt Jeanette on the condition that I was there ready to pull him back at any time. And after he was done, I was taking him home. He agreed, and I stood in between the two of them as Jay's argument / plea / confession / love fest / talk happened, only to end at the point it had started. Jay was fucked, royally. He broke down crying, and I got the van to the loading dock, tossing him into the passenger seat, and we headed off. As we drove to his house, Jay turned to me and asked, "Have you ever tried black tar heroin?" And then sobbed the sobs of a boy who thinks he's a man. For his closing moments, to really add some great Al Pacino tearing up the scenery moments, he tore up the going away card that we had purchased him, and upon reaching his house, got out of the van, slammed his head against the door 4 times before crawling up his parents' driveway to cry a little bit more. I headed back to the playhouse to clean up with the rest of the crew and just to basically see the aftermath of Hurricane Intern. Again, my mind went through the thought, after tonight, there's no way I'm not going to be seen as a valuable employee. As an asset to my workplace, I protected my boss and bounced a wild, violent drunk from the party, putting myself in danger so others didn't have to be in the crosshairs. I bet my boss is finally going to give me the respect and courtesy I'm owed. But after all that, Aunt Jeanette had blacked out, forgotten everything, and only a few short months later, fired me.
Jake Arky.